perfectionist moms? If so, I know, I get you, I see you. But in this conversation, we're going to have a really open, candid conversation about how we don't have to be perfectionists when it comes to their learning, their schooling, their homework, and their grades. So if you feel like you fall into this category, please feel free, stick around as we debunk the perfectionism and the shame and guilt that sits around us perfect parenting children in school. My name is Leslie Urbis. I'm a registered dietitian and a personal trainer. And as you know, I am a selfless overachiever in recovery, full blown over here. And one of those things that I feel like I had to selfless overachieve in was comparing my children at all times. Oh, that kid rolled first. Oh, that kid crawled first. Oh, that kid did this first, right? Because it was how I was taught and raised as a child. And that kept going as my kids snowballed into school age, when I just decided I'm going to ditch these traditional rules. And I have an amazing guest today on the show with me, Laura, who is going to share some of her story as well about where she's at. So please go ahead and introduce yourself. How's it going, Laura?
I'm awesome. Thanks for having me. I loved everything you said there. I was the same. A-star student, had to be the best in everything I did. And then you first have kids and you freak out about everything. Comparison is like the thief of joy. How to destroy your life and happiness. Compare yourself to someone else. So we've let go of all that judgment, all that fear, and we travel the world full time with nothing but a carry-on case each. And we've been traveling the world for 8 years with our children, and they do not go to school.
That's fabulous. I know we were talking about that a little bit behind this. So I had my kids in, I guess, your traditional daycare here. I mean, we would call it daycare. They call it infantile here in Spain. And I was telling you just how different my kids are and how I just had this halt, stop moment. It's time to send them to a Montessori school, which if I really think back to when I was pregnant with my first, and then when I started to open my business, my dream was to have them in a school where it didn't matter how many days of school they missed. Because I don't know if you remember, but when you missed a day of school back when you were sick, you got sent home. Like that day, if you had a sibling in the school, you got sent home with all the homework that of all the things that you missed in class. And it was like terrible. It's like, I'm sick and nurturing my body. And here you go with like 4 hours of whatever you missed that day. It just feels awful, doesn't it?
I was a really sick kid. I had a year in hospital. And to make it worse, they made me go to school in hospital every day. And my friends would bring me schoolwork from school. I was like, I thought at least with the illness, I'd get out of it.
That's
And I
terrible.
didn't.
I get it. I get it. So tell me, you said 8 years. What was the decision? Tell me kind of leading up, what prompted you, like, we're gonna do this? What kind of have you seen? And for everybody listening, I want to stop right now and say that everything that we're talking about, neither one of us are trying to shame you, guilt you, or make you feel bad for the decision you made. Literally last year, my kids were in a regular traditional school for a 3 and 5-year-olds here in Spain. And it was just my moment of being like, okay, I don't want this anymore. I prefer something different, right? And that's the thing that we're doing, is just creating awareness. And I would tell you that if you're like me and you're getting that shame and guilt and trigger, it's probably your sign you're looking for a more non-traditional school. You just need to know how else to look. So start us at the beginning of your story. What kind of prompted it, and the reasons why you did it, and how you've been doing it?
I love that pre-frame. You're so on point. So to start with, we always wanted to travel the world. Instead of a TV, we had a world map up and we'd add to things all the time, where we're going to go, the foods we're going to try, the people we're going to meet, the things we're going to see. It was a very messy story. So when I was pregnant with my first, we brought home a 3-year-old. We then fought for an adoption. Very messy, very legal, very expensive. And we got ourselves in crazy, humongous debt and couldn't see a way out. It was crazy. One week we even sold part of the 3-piece suite to put food on the table. Like, it was that tight. And we thought we have to do something different. And we didn't know back then how to raise our income. So we got rid of all the expenses. We gave up the house, the cars, the stuff, everything down to a carry-on suitcase, and started living in Airbnbs, because it's just one price. If you think what you pay right now, you've got the rent or mortgage, you've got the tax, you've got the electric, gas, water, all these different rates and bills. Airbnb, it's one price, just food. And we were like, we could bring it down, start working through it. And then we started Googling and playing with Airbnb. Where in the world could we be for less money? And that's how we started our crazy journey. And we ended up places like Costa Rica, where it was $300 a month to be in a cabana, 2-bedroom cabana by the beach with a pool, all the fruit trees around us. We barely spent a penny. If you saw our finances before And then learning this life hack was incredible. It changed our world completely. We paid off all that debt in just 3 years whilst traveling the world with our children. And then we discovered the most amazing thing ever, which is house sitting. And it just improved it even more. Now we travel the world for free,
Amen.
staying in mansions and homes you just wouldn't believe, for the power of house sitting.
I love this. I seriously do. But I think you're also speaking to my soul. I love to travel. So I was born and raised as, I guess, really a United States traveler. My mom worked for an airline back then called Trans World Airline, TWA, which closed when I was in high school. Maybe younger. Maybe it closed when I was in grade school, and then they got transferred to American, and then she left American when I was in high school. I think that's about right. But I was in all 50 states by the time I was like 14, 15 years old or something. You know, I can remember traveling. I can remember seeing it. My mom says she regrets it because I live in Spain right now. So I saw the world, and now I'm choosing not to live by her. But now, I mean, our kids are 4 and 6 respectively, right? And my 4-year-old has been to 13 states and 20 countries, and my 6-year-old has been to 15 states and 20 countries. And I absolutely love it. Like, I'm like, okay, where else can we go before we leave Spain? Like, what else numbers, and how do we get them in more places? And, you know, to them, it's so normal to hear accents and to know, like, oh, I have a German friend, or I have a Spanish friend, or I have, oh, that's this accent. And my daughter can tell just from the way they talk. And I just remember thinking, I knew none of this when I was a child. You know, I was raised in the middle of the country in Missouri, and I understood my small corner of the world, which most of us were middle class white people, Catholic, because I went to Catholic school, right? That was my world. It was, you were always different if you went to like the PSR, which was like the nighttime religion, or the Montessori school across the street. And I remember this, but I remember always thinking in the back of my head, I was in the wrong place. You know, like, I don't know that I'm supposed to be here in this school. I don't know that this is what I'm supposed to do. I always loved the kids across the street at the Montessori, because it was like, they're always outside, right? So for somebody, and I love how you went into the house setting. I have friends that do that. So in the States, they just have like a trailer or a small car or something that can keep their stuff in the back, and they house sit all over the place. And my husband thought it was really weird. In maybe it was last September, we had friends who were taking a 2-week vacation, and they have 2 dogs. So they paid somebody, the woman from France, they paid her airfare to come over to stay in their house for free to take care of the dog. She was like, you pay for my plane ticket and I live in your house. And they were like, okay, sold. My husband's like, that's so weird. I was like, that's how people are doing it. So
It's
I
so
love
cool.
this. I love this. So really, we were talking about, you know, like this mom guilt that kind of comes from not doing it traditionally. You said your kids were 4 and 7 when you decided to do this.
Yeah.
Now, a 7-year-old, I would assume, had some exposure to traditional school potentially. When you had to choose to make this decision, did any of that come into play, like shame or guilt or worry about, you know, your kids and how they were going to be raised, or
So
what kind
because
of
I was a
advice?
previous overachiever, before I
Okay.
had kids, I worked in a nursery nurse, trained to be a a preschool, play school person. I worked as a nanny, and I worked in a school because I wanted to see it all, have some experience of kids. I thought it would help with parenting. I was so wrong. But it was working in those nurseries and schools that made me go, I'm never doing this to my child. I saw things I didn't like, the way things were dealt with, the way kids were handled. They were all treated the same, none as individuals, and they were so uniquely different. And I couldn't handle what I was seeing in nurseries and schools. And I was like, I am not doing this. And the nursery I worked in was next to a hospital. And we would have their children from 8 till 6 every day. And a part of me, don't get me wrong, I appreciate doctors, where would we be without them? But I was like, I want to have children on purpose. And I want to spend time with them and be there and watch them grow. You hear everyone say it goes so fast. It does. And I want to cherish every second. I don't want to be missing it all. Someone recently shared, kids spend more time with teachers than they do with their parents in their young lifetime. That is
Mm-hmm.
crazy to me. So I just wanted to be really present as a parent. And when I first took my daughter out of school, because she went into the system to start with, people we knew from school would cross the road to avoid me.
Oh.
Friends and family thought we were crazy. The judgment was huge. And for 2 years, we pretty much, well, especially when we gave up everything to travel, for 2 years, we pretty much lost contact with all friends and family because we were so out of their box and their comfort zone. they didn't even know how to talk to us. And we just chased the sun for 2 years, which was incredible. And then when we came back, it's like they were expecting our children to be like dumb mutes because they didn't go to school. So when my kids, we've held alligators, we've done the Grand Canyon, we've done this, we've done that, we've got this language, I can say this in this many languages. Suddenly people then started to be a bit more open to it and be a bit kinder to us. And those relationships we kind of built back on and started to recreate those. So there was serious mum guilt all the time of whether I was doing the right thing, because with parenting, you don't know until it's too late and they're big. So I used to always have those moments, but I found in the moments where I wobbled the hardest is when my kids would do something amazing.
Yeah,
Almost like they'd reassure me.
totally. I think I can completely understand both of those. I think I can, as my son comes in the room, I think I completely understand that to both, as we were talking about, I've transferred my kids to Montessori school. And I remember like trying, like it was one of those things of like, okay, but now I don't want anybody else to feel like I'm thinking that my kids are better or that I think the system is flawed or anything like that. Like, I truthfully believe that we're doing what we're choosing for our kids from the best place in our heart with the knowledge that we have at the time, and I absolutely positively love the stories like yours. It really inspires me. Like when my husband is done with his, working and stuff like that, I am really like, let's do this. We've talked about it ourselves too. We love to travel. We literally love to travel. Down to a suitcase is pretty impressive. I have a good friend. I will try to connect you to her. She has, I think they each have 2 suitcases and a backpack. And there's like 5 or 6 of them. I think she's got 5 children or something. And this is what they're doing right now. They live in Mexico. But yeah, this is fabulous. So for somebody that's in there and going through that, any words of advice of like the guilt and the shame they have about all this?
On which side of the fence? On the homeschooling or the in school?
Either. Like when they're having the shame, they're having the guilt, like from a mom perspective, from yourself, what kind of helped you to, do what you did after losing the friends and stuff like that? What was your like fine line of, was it, I know I'm doing what's best for my kids because I'm following my intuition? Or, I think sometimes we get bogged down in the pressure of what other people are providing us, right? So why do my kids go to traditional school? It's how I did it. I can't tell you how many times my husband says, well, that's what I did. I'm like, just because you did that doesn't mean that it's right. Okay. It's just something we encountered in our life. Okay. We get to be our own advocates and choose for ourselves. So in choosing, you've made some major decisions. When we get into that choice, so many people waffle. What really helped you to stay to the choice and hold true to it, even with some of these things running in the background?
So my goal and mission since having children was to be world's best mummy, not to the world, to my children, to provide the best I can with the knowledge I have at the time that I had. If I started again now, I would do it completely different again. There'd be so many areas I could improve on, and I'll be able to say the same thing tomorrow. Every day we're learning and growing, we discover more. Excuse me. And I think it's just knowing that you're doing the best that you believe with the knowledge you have. And it's that unwavering faith that I'm doing right by them. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, what anyone else, it hurts sometimes it really hurts and doesn't feel good. But when you watch your kids and they're thriving, I'll show off in a minute and tell you what they've achieved so far. When you start seeing them out there thriving more than you ever believed you could, when they become genuinely awesome humans, my little boy will grab a snack from the supermarket, come out, see a homeless person and be like, Mum, can I go give this to them? And it's like, I haven't gone, do you want to do this? Like they just do that stuff like that off their own back. When they become genuinely awesome people, it just, my hardest days I've ever had, my kids do something amazing. And it just reminds me I'm on track and it's for them. I have to get out of myself and out of my head. Because you said we went to school, we did the school thing, we did the normal thing, we turned out okay. Our parents did the best they could with what they had at the time. Nowadays, we can get, you're in Spain, Europe, you can get return flights for like 20 quid. There's no excuse anymore. Travel used to be expensive. It used to take time to get anywhere. Now it's super affordable and you can take the chance and you can take the risk. But it's having that core belief in yourself as a mum that no one knows your kids like you do. A teacher's never going to love your kids like you do.
Agreed. I love that. I completely agree. I love the thought process of like, you're doing the best with the knowledge you have at the time. and just holding true to the decision you made and knowing that you're doing what's best for your kids. And I would completely agree. You know, at first it was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like they know people at the other school, what will happen here. Oh my gosh, they love the school. They love, I mean, they love the Montessori. They love the model. It's great. Like I was telling you before we got on the call, my daughter was just like, we can do it. I said, we can do it 6 times. And she's like, okay, that's 3 times 2. And I was like, where'd you learn that? You know, like I didn't teach you 3 times 2. I know you're not watching any TV with 3 times 2. And the math cards and things that we have are all plus and minus right now, because I haven't bought any multiplication or things like that. So I agree. It's fabulous. I think that's fabulous advice. So, you know, I can see that advertisements and stuff for you in the background. Tell us a little bit about what you do, because it sounds like you also have like a book or an app or something that allows you to talk about like creatively homeless, and to help other people. It sounds like, am I on the ball there?
You are on the ball. So our latest book, we had a 13-week Sky TV show, A Day in the Life of, where they got to look in our cases, what we keep in the storage unit, like all these different aspects of our life, how we school the kids. And we did a book to follow on from that. And what's cool about the book is it links to an online program. And it's not to create your life our way. It's to create your life your way. Some people don't even realize the massive options we have. Even if it's just vacation, where you can house swap and end up somewhere amazing and beautiful. And instead of paying all that money, just getting somewhere, you can pay for the excursions and the trips and the excitement. So we've helped people create life their way on purpose, even just realizing what your outgoings are to what they could be somewhere else. You've done US to Spain. I'm sure you've had a massive difference in what your outgoings are. And you get to, I experienced when I went to America, to eat well, it was really, really expensive. Whereas in Spain, you got local, we've just come back from Spain, literally just jumped off the plane. We've just come back from 2 months in Spain. It's one of my favorite places to be. Orange juice, oh my gosh. Fresh tomatoes, like it's all just so fresh. People literally home grow it and bring it to market. It's just a different way of living. So we help people create their life on purpose. We also help people create books. So if someone has a story or knowledge, or they've overcome some huge challenge and they want to help the next person, we help them become the expert in that field by creating their own book.
I love it. I love it. And those links to those things will be posted here below. I am so excited to have interviewed you. And I know this will sink right into the right people that need to hear this. So this is awesome. Outside of that, any last minute word you want to share with them here?
In my last minute, your kids will be all right if you do things different. Is my little girl created a book when she was 7. She's now 15 and the proud author of 5 books in 3 languages. And she shared the stage of people like Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, the guys from The Secret, now helping kids prevent suicide and overcome bullying. She inspired her little brother, and when he was 4, he started creating books, and a percentage goes to save elephants and rhinos in Africa. He's now 12 and has 45 published books, and they're both currently winning awards for these books.
That's amazing. That's so awesome. That's so awesome to hear. I love this. And I'm sure if I connect you to her links, that you'll be able to find those other books and things like that. So this is fabulous. I'm so thankful for getting to have this little bit of time with you here. And I look forward to chatting you in the future. For everybody watching, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye for now.